and it's a picture of Napoleon's tomb. Very impressive.
Poor Rose.
Mother always says that servants, like a good wine, seldom travel well.
Perhaps they'll all be sick on the Flying Scotsman.
God forbid.
Well, I shall be sick in the car if Edward drives too fast.
Well, think of that lovely salmon fishing when we get there.
I can't fish.
Oh, well, I'll teach you, then you'll enjoy it.
It'll rain all the time.
Ah, so much the better.
I'd much rather go to Deauville with Dolly.
Sounds like one of those musical comedies, Deauville with Dolly.
You don't have to come, Georgina. I just think it'd be a pity not to. Connaught is a wonderful place. The sons will have a change. Plenty of good fresh air. Do you good. You look pale.
Yeah, no telephones ringing, no traffic or anything, a chance to fish and stalk and climb the rocks.
Or hire a bicycle and ride into Inverness to the cinema.
70 miles over a rough road.
Oh, is it?
You take a good book to read.
Can I take my gramophone?
Anything to make you happy.
Well, you can't stay here anyway. We're shutting up the house.
All right. When do we leave?
His Lordship, the Major and Miss Georgina will be leaving by car early tomorrow morning. Edward, I trust you have studied the route on your map.
Oh, yes, Mr. Hudson. Straight up the Great North Road to Edinburgh.
Turn left for Inverness.
Don't worry, Mr. Hudson. I shan't get lost.
Since you're breaking the journey at Alnwick Castle tomorrow night, Edward, you may convey my personal regards to Mr. Harrison, the Duke of Northumberland's butler.
Yes, Mr. Hudson.
The remainder of the staff, Ruby, will remain behind to close up the house and travel up by the night train to Inverness.
I don't like this idea of sleeping on a train. Never have, ever since the Tay Bridge disaster when I was a girl.
Oh, I think you'll find it quite safe nowadays, Mrs. Bridges.
It'll be extra nice for you going up there, won't it, Mr. Hudson, you being Scotch?
Scots, if you please, Daisy. Indeed it will. I shall be returning to the land of my forefathers.
I've seen pictures of the Highlands on biscuit tins. It's all purple heather and people playing bagpipes.
That's right, men wearing kilts and showing their knees.
Aye, the Highlands of Scotland are glorious indeed. And you can all count yourselves privileged to be visiting such a paradise on earth. Is there anyone there? Oh, good day, Mrs. You are expecting us, I think, Lord Bellamy's party. Lord Berkhamsted has lent this lodge to Lord Bellamy for 10 days.
The landlord's letter arrived by the mailboat this morning. Mackay and myself had no warning of you.
Oh.
Well, I hope they don't expect me to cook their dinner on that thing.
Oh, this is Mrs. Bridges, our cook. It's Mrs. Mackay, I believe. Well, I'll leave you ladies to the kitchen arrangements. Excuse me.
Mr. Hudson, the luggage break's come and the man wants to know which rooms to put the trunks in.
Very well, Daisy, I'll see to it.
Oh, it's damp in here, isn't it? Don't you think there ought to be a fire lit?
There should be, Daisy. Unfortunately, the wood box is empty. It would appear that due notice was not received of our arrival by the Gilly and his good wife until this morning.
Oh, what's happened, Ruby?
What's the matter, Gettle?
There's a dead bird in larder.
Oh, well, it won't bite you, Ruby. It's just a wee grouse. Last year's by the smell of it.
Well, the larder has not been touched since last season's shooting party left. Give it to me, I'll burn it.
There now, we must all get our coats off, roll up our sleeves and set to work. His Lordship the Major and Mr. Gina will be here shortly. The place must be made as clean and comfortable as possible before they arrive. Daisy, switch the light on, if you please. Is the electricity not connected, Mrs. Mackay?
But the generator's broken. You'll need to be using oil lamps for the time being.
Hudson thought it would be warmer dining down here in front of the fire.
The dining room was on the first floor, my lord, and somewhat chilly, I fear.
Right, none too warm in here. What's the matter with the fire, Hudson?
There were no dry logs to be found, sir. And tough takes a wee while to burn up.
Tough?
Peat, my lord.
Good heavens. What's this, Hudson?
I fear we omitted to bring up any sherry from London, my lord. I would have borrowed a bottle and replaced it later. However, Mrs. Mackay seems unable to supply the key of the wine cellar.
Quite right. We can't use theirs. Oh, well, I suppose a glass of whiskey before dinner will do for Scotland. Georgina.
I hate whiskey.
Oh, we better have a wee dram. It'll help warm me up.
Are we completely marooned here?
Marooned? Well, it's quite a long drive back over the mountain. Are there any other means of communication, Hudson?
I'm informed there's a steamer from Oban to Stornoway, my lord. It calls here once a week.
Once a week?
To bring the mail and collect goods and an occasional passenger.
I see.
We're marooned.
Oh, rather fun.
I hope our wines travel well.
I thought I would leave it to settle, my lord. There was a spare bottle of champagne in the picnic basket, if you would care to have that open for dinner.
Good idea, Hudson. And what's Mrs. Bridges going to produce for us? We're all hungry.
I'm afraid the grocery order we sent on ahead has not arrived yet, my lord. Mrs. Bridges has been obliged to depend on whatever tinned goods she can find in the store cupboard.
I'm sure you'll all do your best, Hudson. Well, it won't hurt us to rough it a bit for one night, eh?
Well, I hope I never have to serve up another dinner like that. It's a shame to see it go out of the kitchen. If you can call this place a kitchen.
Oh, never mind, Mrs. Bridges. From tomorrow onwards, we shall be serving them and ourselves with some good fresh trout from the sea loch and salmon from the river.
Listen. Can you hear something?
That's only the wind, Edward.
No, there's someone out there, I'm sure of it.
Oh, Mr. Hudson.
There is someone there.
You will be Lord Bellamy's household, no doubt.
That is correct. And who might you be?
I am Roderick Mackay, head gillie to Lord Berkhamsted.
Oh, good evening to you.
We were not informed of your visit in time. Nothing is ready. You will be wise to pack your trunks and return to London.
I'm sorry, but I don't think Lord Bellamy is considering any such thing.
It will not be comfortable here. You may go and tell his lordship that from me.
I certainly will not.
Ruby, it's your bedtime.
Oh, no. Couldn't go yet, Mrs. Bridges. Not by myself. This house gives me the creeps.
Oh, nonsense, girl.
No, the wee lass is right. This old lodge has seen some history, I can tell you.
Has it indeed?
The first Laird of Carnockey fought at the Battle of Culloden.
That was between the Scots and the English, wasn't it?
It was the last stand of the Highlanders, Edward, against the Hanoverian King George.
And a tragic day for Scotland. The Laird himself was grievously wounded in the battle, and they say that his servant and his piper lifted him bleeding from a severed arm and placed him on a crofter's handcart and wheeled him over the mountain yonder to this very house to escape from Cumberland's men. And they hid him in an attic, but he died here of his wounds. And they took him out at dead of night and buried him secretly to a piper's lament at some spot on the hill nearby, deep in the heather. But to this very day, no one knows where. God. The only thing certain is that the Laird himself returns here from time to time of a dark night for those who can hear him groaning from the pain of his terrible wounds as he lies, pale and bleeding on the handcart. The very handcart that carried him here from the field of Culloden. God rest his soul. I will away now to my dwelling. I bid you all a very good night.
Two no trumps.
No bid.
No bid.
So you play from dummy.
Bother, James, why couldn't you call?
No, wait a minute. Father's got to leave before he sees what dummy's got.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, no bid with that. Spade led.
I know, I haven't got one.
Well, then why on earth did you call no trumps?
Oh, I don't know. I hate three-handed bridge. It's such a boring game.
Come on, Georgina, cheer
I
up.
don't want to cheer up. I hate this beastly house, and I'm sure it hates us.
Never mind. Tomorrow we go down the river and try for a salmon. That'll put the roses back in your cheeks.
Wretched weather.
Oh, it'll clear up soon. What do you say, Hudson?
Oh, I hope so, my lord.
I thought there was supposed to be a marvellous view of the island of Skye.
I'm sure there will be as soon as the mist rises. Well, I'm going to the library to write some letters.
Does it ever stop raining in Scotland, Hudson?
On occasions, miss.
What are you doing, James?
Tying a fly. Make one yourself, it's a good one. That's right, isn't it, Hudson? That one's a pretty colour, isn't it?
Much too pretty to waste on a silly old fish.
Yes, well, that one's shop made. You wait till you see this one that I'm making. Blue Charm. What do you think, Hudson?
Oh, a very good choice, sir.
I've given it 3 or 4 terms of oval silver tag. I've already tied in the silver ribbing.
Sounds more like dressmaking.
Now, I'm going to tie in the golden pheasant tail. All right, Hudson?
Oh, very good, sir.
Hudson taught me to do this when I was 10 years old. His father was the best gillie in Argyllshire. Hudson takes after him.
No, I'd not say that, sir. But you were always a very apt pupil.
Right, now, I've used a heavy hook. What do you think, Hudson?
Oh, fine, sir, fine. I would say there'll be a fair spate of water after this rain. So you're right to add a wee bit of weight.
Don't smooth out the feathers.
Leave them untidy.
What an extraordinary collection of books. Clearances in the Scottish Highlands. What do you suppose that's about?
No idea. Why don't you read it and see? There's nothing else to do till it stops raining.
No, I agree.
What's that? It sounds like thunder.
Sounds more like gunfire to me.
Is that old battle still going on? Cludden or whatever it's called, where the old laird was wounded.
Don't say that, Daisy.
Did you not pump up the water? Hasn't Mackay told you? It needs to be pumped up night and morning, and in between, if anyone takes a bath. You need to prime it. It's not been in use for a wee while. And don't be letting the tank run dry with the stove lit, or you'll be having an explosion.
The head gillie is here, sir. His lordship thought you would like to see him.
Ah, good, good. Come in, Mackay, isn't it?
It is.
Yes, well, the weather seems to be clearing up a bit. Well, I just wanted to talk to you about the fishing.
The fishing.
Yes, I thought I'd go out and try for a salmon as soon as I can.
You will be wasting your time.
What?
Did not Lord Berkhamsted warn you that ours is a late river?
No, he didn't. Lord Berkhamsted told my father there'd be plenty of fish.
Then your father was misinformed. It will not be worth your while to unpack a rod. You can take it from me. There will be no fish in the river to speak of.
That's absurd.
There will be no fish in the river now.
Damn it! Come all the way up from London, especially for the salmon fishing, and you say there are no fish. Can't shoot yet and we don't stalk, so what the hell is there to do in this place?
There are some good walks and some fine scenery.
I came here for the fishing.
That's as may be, but I can only repeat. There will be no sport hereabouts. And that is a fact, no matter how fine the weather is at this time of the year.
Damn. I mean, why weren't we told, eh? Father's been had for a mug. Now the sun's coming out, just when the day is nearly over.
Why don't you go for a good walk and enjoy the fine scenery?
Now, come on. Stop reading. We'll both go and take some air. No, it'll do you good. We'll walk up in the deer forest and you can pick some heather or
James,
something.
I don't want to walk up
Rubbish,
in the deer
Georgina.
forest.
Put the roses in your cheeks. You're far too pale. Come on, off we go.
Lovely.
Struggle, stride up.
What you got there, Daisy?
There's a tablecloth from the cupboard, Mr. Hudson. It's one of those clean enough, but it's all moth-eaten, look.
Well, then it must not be used.
But I've got to lay for tea in the dining room.
Now, tea can be served on a tray in the sitting room as soon as the Major and Miss Georgina get back from their walk.
Oh, I see. You going out?
I am, Daisy, for a wee donder. It's cleared up nicely.
Where's Mrs. Bridges?
She's gone out for a nap. I've got to call her with a cup of tea at 4.
I don't know.
What?
Fat lot you and I are going to see of the islands of Scotland at this rate. We might just as well have stopped in London.
Well, I don't mind. I don't like it here, do you?
I might if I got a chance to stick my nose out the door.
I could do with a big tea now,
Oh,
couldn't you?
don't change the subject, James. You can't deny we treated them abominably. That's why they hate us now.
Jealousy.
It's not. The English landlords drove thousands of simple Highland crofters off their land just so they could have enough room for their sheep to graze. It was wicked.
Yeah, your book's prejudice. I bet it was written by a Scot. They're always going on about the English, the bloody people. They're gloomy, dour and rude. I mean, you've only got to look at that fellow Mackay.
Well, I'm not surprised. He's rude. He's put out because he wasn't told in time that we were coming. That woman up at the cairn was polite enough and her children were very sweet. Oh, I think the Highland people are quite charming. They're simple, romantic and honest.
Ah, here's Hudson with our tea right on time.
Shall I serve it now, miss, and not wait for his lordship?
Right, where is he?
Up in his room, sir, having a wee lie down.
Oh, just leave it then.
Very good, sir.
I say, Hudson.
Sir?
What do you make of that Gilly?
Mackay, sir?
Yes, he seemed damn gloomy about the fishing prospects. I wonder what you thought about it. Well, about him, I mean. A curious sort of chap, I thought, didn't you?
Mackay is the head gilly here, sir. Born and bred in these parts, I believe. I would not seek to question his knowledge of the local river.
No, I suppose not.
Sir.
Oh. An antique sort of place, don't you think?
Oh, yes. I feel very different here. It's so quiet and dreamy and beautiful. And the air is so fresh and cool.
The sort of place where people fall in love.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Or suddenly realise how much in love they are, having not had time to think about things.
Yes. I could easily fall in love in the Highlands.
Well, look at you two. Suffocating indoors over a fire on an evening like this.
Uncle Richard, we've been for a long walk.
Well, you've been snoring upstairs in your room. Do you want some tea to wake you up?
Yes, please, I'd love a cup.
Did you have a nice nap?
Oh, yes, most refreshing. Goodness, I must be more tired than I thought I was. I slept like a child.
Well, you need a good rest, Uncle Richard. This is certainly the place for it. No politics, no speeches.
Yes. Well, this place is so relaxing, I wonder if anything ever gets done in this part of the world. Because the answer is that nothing ever does get done. Nobody shouts or plots or schemes or argues. They just get on with their honest, simple lives.
That's right.
We Londoners can learn a lot from these people. How not to hurry. How to enjoy life while you can.
Weigh and draw Major Bellamy's bath, Edward, and then you can pump the water up.
Yes, Mr. Wright.
Miss Georgina will have her bath before she goes to bed.
Mr. Hudson, do you think that water tank would have started rumbling during night?
I hardly think so, Ruby. No one would have been drawing hot water during the night hours. Why do you ask?
Well, I thought I heard a sort of rumbling noise last night when I was in my bed and I was scared.
Oh, you'd hear anything.
Probably the wounded laird on his handcart, Ruby, coming to drag you down into his unknown grave.
I don't care, I did hear it, and it sounded just like cartwheels outside my window. I heard it, I'm not fibbing, I did hear it. Well, couldn't Daisy sleep in my room tonight?
Certainly not. I've never heard of such a thing.
Mrs. Bridges, help! Come quickly, the ghost again, help!
Ruby, what's the matter?
Is there someone in your room?
Pull yourself together, girl. Control yourself.
Oh, he's outside my window, died there.
What?
All right, Ruby McGarrel. Nobody outside your window. Not a sight or sound of anything.
There you are. You see, you was having a nightmare. That's what you was having, my girl. I expect your tummy's upset with the water, you hear? Now, you get off to bed. Let's all try and have a good night's sleep.
pass the sugar, please, Daisy?
Oh, come on, Ruby, cheer up. The laird of Connaught won't do you no harm. Ghosts only go for young girls they fancy.
Edward, hold your tongue.
Sorry, I spoke.
You can clean his lordship's walking shoes while I'm out, Edward. And let's have no more of your feeble jokes at Ruby's expense.
No, Mr. Hudson.
Now, Ruby, early to bed for you tonight. You look washed out.
Yes, Mrs. Bridges.
And stuff cotton wool in your ears so you don't hear any more ghostly noises, eh?
Letter.
Believe it or not.
Miss, what a miracle.
Oh, I didn't know we'd left forwarding instructions.
No, we didn't. I wrote to Jockman Kell before I left London to ask about some rather interesting papers he's got in his library. About the Scottish Assembly in 1912. I told him we were coming up here, so he's asked us all over to stay for a couple of nights at Garlock. I thought we'd drive ourselves over. It's only 40 miles. Rather like to see the house. It's got some fine things in it.
Do we have to?
Not if you'd rather stay here. I thought it'd be rather dull for you.
No, on the contrary. I'm loving it now. I'm rapidly becoming a Highlander, aren't I, James?
That time.
How about you, James? Would you like driving over with me for a couple of nights?
Not really, thank you, Father, if it's not rude.
Very well, you'll have to stay behind and keep an eye on Georgina.
Oh, Tom, Mrs. Bridges, there's nothing like a nice kipper.
I can't tell if I'm frying kippers or old boots. In this light, I can't see a blessed thing. I only hope they're fresh, that's all.
Straight off the steamer from Oban, Mrs. Bridges. Fresher than you'll ever get them in London.
Miss Georgina said she'd like 2 for her breakfast in the morning and some porridge.
I've never known Miss Georgina with such an appetite. She asked me if I'd make her some of my plum duff. Fern the Major. She hasn't asked for that for years.
I think she's quite enjoying herself now. After all, it's not bad, is it, now we've got the hang of things?
Well, it's all right for you, Daisy, with your young eyes. I can't see a blessed thing. Oh, Mr. Hudson, couldn't something be done about that electric light? I can't go on with these lamps.
Well, if only I could find that blinking generator, Mrs. Bridges, I might be able to get it started.
I think I've got an idea. Edward, now take that lamp there and come with me.
Locked, is it?
I think the generator engine might be in here. We'll try this key. I found it when I was looking for the key to the wine cellar. No, I don't think... There.
Oh, it's a funny sort of generator room. Looks more like a mortuary.
It's a salmon house, Edward.
for preparing and packing the fish.
Phew, so I can smell. God, it's fishy, isn't it?
Fishy is the right word, Edward, and that's a fact.
Oh, horrid great snake. Why do I have to go down there?
Because you've been stealing apples.
Oh, serves me right then.
Now, I've helped an old lady across the road, so I go up this lovely ladder there.
Ah.
Oh, I'm nearly there.
Ah, so do I. Look, double six. Oh, damn it.
Right up from the top to the bottom.
Oh, you heartless little beast. I hope the same thing happens to
Oh,
you.
it shan't. I'm going to win. I don't like the look of that snake there, though. They shouldn't put them so near the end. Doesn't the wind make it creepy? Daisy says that Ruby keeps seeing a ghost.
Really?
Or hearing one, at least. James, you cheated. You moved the dice.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. You did. I saw you. Where was it before?
6.
Better. Oh, James, you were trying to make me win.
Oh, Georgina. Darling.
What?
Is it really too late for us? I mean, we neither of us have anyone special in view, do we, Sid?
Oh, James, don't please. You'll spoil everything.
Do love me. I know you do.
Yes, I love you, darling.
The Laird of Carnochy, indeed. Come home to die of his wounds on a slab reserved for your employer's fish taken from his river and shipped away by steamer for sale in the market. To say nothing of stories about a ghost to deceive a simple kitchen maid on a windy night and scare the poor wee lassie out of her wits.
It is a pity you chose to poke your nose into the private affairs of this village. You, a butler from London.
As well I did, Mr. Mackay, before the salmon pools were emptied by you and your poaching, thieving friends. I may be a butler from London, Mr. Mackay, but my father, I'll have you know, was head gillie to Lord Indlemore and Argyllshire for 30 years. And my knowledge told me the river here was not a late river.
It is a late river, but it has an early spate in May.
I also know that boxes of fish are usually brought ashore from fishing boats and not loaded onto them from the quayside.
Aye, you are an observant man, I will give you that.
And where might you be selling Lord Berkhamsted's fish? In Oban, I suppose?
Aye. There's fish enough in the river for a landlord from England, coming here as he does for only 2 months in the year. It is a waste of good salmon.
That is no excuse for theft, none.
There's fish aplenty for the landlord when he's here. When he's absent, it is the custom to... Oh, I'm not proud of it, Mr. Hudson. It is the way we have to live, and have done for a great many years. You will be fetching the constable? Or will you be sending a telegram to his lordship on his yacht in Monte Carlo?
I'll do neither. To hand you over to the police or your employer at this time will solve nothing. I'll be honest, I'm not over fond of absentee landlords myself, but nobody has the right to accept a man's money and then poach his game.
So what are you going to do? Tell the minister, maybe, so that he can preach about it on Sunday in the kirk?
It is no business of the minister's. The matter is between you, Mr. Mackay, as head gillie to Lord Berkhamsted, and myself as butler to Lord Bellamy. I think we can settle the matter in a civilized manner.
Aye, it will be better that way.
Sit you down, my friend. I will pass no judgment on a matter which is none of my business. But I'll tell you this, Mr. Mackay. When my own family, the folk I've served for 40 years, come to visit my own country of Scotland and get cheated, that is my business. I'll make a gentleman's agreement with you. The next time Major Bellamy casts a fly in the river here, I shall expect him to catch a salmon. And you will see to it in future that the electric generator is in working order, that there is dry wood enough for the fires and hot bath water, as Lord Berkhamsted would wish to provide for his guests. Is that understood?
It is. As one's got to another, Mr. Hudson, you can depend on it.
Then you'll take a wee dram with me to seal our bargain?
Aye, I will that.
Good.
What do you think of that, Father? It gave me a hell of a time. I nearly lost it under a rock.
James, let me play him. Gosh, he pulled hard.
I say, James, that's splendid. The fishing certainly improved since I was away.
My God, it has. I can't think why.
I knew you would not catch your fish while the mist was down on the hillside. It is the climate that has improved, not the fishing, sir.
I will put your catch in the salmon house, if you will allow me to.
Thank you, Hudson.
I was wondering if the young lady and yourself would care to climb up Sheila's Tor with me in the morning. There is an eagle's nest on the top, and maybe you could catch a glimpse of the young ones.
Oh, I'd love to. Can I take my camera and photograph them?
You could try, miss. It is a fair scramble to the top of the crag, and we'd need to leave a wee bit early in the morning.
We don't mind that, do we, James?
No, no, certainly not. Early as you like. Daisy, breakfast at 7 and tell Hudson to put out my climbing boots.
Very good, sir.
Oh, the lights! The electric lights at last! Oh, what a relief.
Aye. You'll be doing without the lamps now.
Now I can see to copy out your receipt. Now let me see, where was I? Oh yes, bake in moderate oven for half an hour.
Might be a wee bit less.
Well, if I can make shortcake as good as yours when I get back to England, Mrs. Mackay, I shall have learnt something in Scotland.
I'll give you a hand with that dinner tonight, Mrs. Bridges.
Oh, that's very kind of you, but I can manage with Ruby.
It's no trouble. I'll help the wee lass prepare the vegetables.
Oh, my goodness, you look stunning. Have I seen that dress before?
No, it's new.
She'll be warm enough.
Oh, I'm very hardy after a week in the Highlands.
Oh, well, let's hope it's a fine day tomorrow for our climb. You better wear something warm. It's liable to be pretty drafty up there with the old eagle nests. Well, back to London next week. Start making plans. Shall we tell Father tonight?
Plans?
Our plans. Georgina, what's the matter?
James, I didn't mean when I said the other night that
Didn't mean what? You said you loved me.
Yes, I love you. I've always loved you. But not like you mean. Not to marry.
You kissed me the way you used to. And when I said we neither of us had anyone else special in view, you didn't say that wasn't true. So I thought that at last...
I should have been more honest, James. Oh, perhaps it's the feeling of this place. Being alone together, miles from anywhere. Coming up here was like going back in time. Peat fires, nursery teas, bonnie Prince Charlie. But it's all make-believe, and make-believe is for children. We did love each other once.
Do?
No, did. During the war. But that's all in the past, darling.
Don't take this away from me, Georgina. I haven't anything else.
I say, Hudson's just been telling you the most extraordinary thing. You know that small bedroom that's always kept shut up? Well, apparently there's a tradition that Charles Edward Stuart slept there during his wanderings before he sailed for Skye. And there's a glass case in there containing a lock of his hair. Well, of course, if that unfortunate young man had given every lock of his hair kept in his memory in Scotland, he'd be completely bald. So I think we ought to have a look at it afterwards. What do you think? Georgina, my dear, you're shivering. Isn't that rather a flimsy dress for this climate?
Perhaps a ghost walked over her grave.
Good morning, Hudson. Is the Major down yet?
He's gone out, Miss Georgina.
Gone out?
Edward went to call him at 7 o'clock and found that he was already up and dressed and had left his room.
Oh.
He left this letter for you in his room.
Thank you, Hudson.
Good morning. Morning. Thought I'd better come and see you safely off. Sorry James won't be with you. He's gone to London.
London?
Yes, he put a note under my door. Apparently suddenly remembered he promised to play in a polo match. As we're leaving in a few days anyway, he thought it seemed a pity to miss it.
How did he go?
He hoped to get a lift in a fishing boat to Oban and catch a train from there.
Ah, are we all ready then? Oh, Daisy, did you check Miss Georgina's room to make sure she left nothing behind? We don't want to give Mrs. Mackay the trouble of sending on anything after us.
Oh, I had a good look round, Mr. Hudson. I already said to tell you that he pumped up first thing this morning, but he didn't have time to pump up again after his lordship's bath.
Oh, it's no trouble. We always have a boy from the village to pump up the water, but I thought as your husband was here, he might as well do it.
You will send on any letters, Mr. Mackay?
I will.
Thank you.
Ruby, you forgot to wash up them cups.
I'll do them after you've gone. I have to close the house up anyway. It'll be a long day before there's anyone here again. Except for the old laird, of course. Poor lost soul.
Did you ever see him?
I've never seen him, nor heard him. But I've known he was here.
I have put the hamper of fish in the taxi.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mackay.
I would keep it in the carriage with you. I have known salmon be taken from the guard's van before now.
Is that a fact? These poachers get everywhere.
They do indeed.
Ruby, have you got your gloves?
Oh, no, I left them in my room.
Oh, well, go and fetch them and hurry up.
Goodbye, Mr. Hudson. come up here again, give me plenty of notice. And I will make sure that your gentleman has some fine sport.
Thank you, Mr. McKay. But I doubt if we'll be back. Yes, I'm just coming, Daisy.
It's a funny feeling being back here again, isn't it? Seems all different somehow.
Oh, it is different, Daisy.
Well, it's better in London. There's no ghosts in Eaton Place.
Oh, hello, you all here then?
Oh, when did you get back?
Oh, about half an hour ago, being putting the car away.
I trust you had an uneventful journey, Edward.
Oh, yes, thanks, Mr. Hudson. Interesting one. His lordship decided to stop for lunch in Doncaster, and we saw a coal mine in the distance. You'd have liked that, Ruby. Remind you of home.
Yes, well, we're all home again now. So you can go upstairs, Ruby, and change your clothes, and then when you come down, we'll start to get supper for them upstairs.
Yes, Mrs. Bridges.
Have you had any tea, Edward?
Oh, yes, thanks, Mr. Hudson. I had mine on the way down.
Then take Daisy over to the flat and get yourselves unpacked. There's work to do.
Yes, Mr. Hudson. Come on, love, back to the grind. Any idea where the Major is, Mr. Hudson?
The Major? No, why?
Well, he's not in the house, and there's no luggage in his room.
Oh, he wouldn't have wished to return to an empty house, Edward. He'll be staying at his club, no doubt, pending the family's return.
I see.
Well, I must say, Mr. Hudson, it was very nice for us all to have a change in Scotland, and I don't mean no disrespect to the country of your origins. It is nice to be home again.
Aye, it is.
Mind you, when we first got to Connaught, I thought it was going to be dreadful. What with that terrible stove, and no proper electric light, and the rain, and the Major being in a bad temper about the fishing, and those funny McKay people.
Aye, the Highlands take a wee time to get used to. And the Highlanders themselves. You need to be a Scot to know a Scot. After a while, I came to know a wee thing about Roderick Mackay and his ways, and that made all the difference. Still, as you say, it's good to be home in Eaton Place. Here, at least, we know where we are. Yea, Kate?
We do, Angus.
Yes? I see. Thank you. Well, that's very odd. He hasn't been to his club.
Where can he be?
Well, staying with friends, I suppose. But I think he might have let us know.
Oh, I wish he'd hurry up and come home. I want to give him this.
What's that?
An eagle's feather. I want to give it to him as a memento of... as a memento.
Of our holiday, eh? Well, I enjoyed it very much. But I think next time I'm going to rent a house. See that it's properly equipped.
A telegram for you, my lord.
Oh, good. It'll be from her ladyship giving a time of arrival. Is the boy waiting?
Yes, my lord.
But you can't be in England already. That's from James, from Liverpool. Decided to visit Elizabeth. Sailed for New York this morning. Love to Georgina, James. Well, what an extraordinary thing. Why on earth should they suddenly decide to do that?